the skill set or the mindset or the client buy in. But then let me just hold on to event management. Let me see what we can do in the next few months. So this could be, one of the things that you guys should be thinking about. Again, should you make the move towards virtual? This is again is a very complex question. Let me kind of give you my perspective in terms of what Buzz Nation is facing. So when we work with enterprise customers, so most of them are technology and pharma companies who have global marketing, right? So when we kind of spoke to them and we said that, hey, by the way, we do have the technology and you do have the money because you're sitting on piles of cash because you have not spent your marketing budgets last quarter and even this quarter. Um, but then, are you sure that you want to go there? So I think the client's answer was that yes, we are not looking at this from a short-term perspective, but we are actually looking at this from a long-term perspective. So what they really meant by long-term was, this is a great opportunity to test a new platform. Our managers and bosses are saying, go ahead, do that. Even if you fail, it's fine because everybody is failing. But then after that, what do you do? Right. So they said that even if we fail, we will have some learnings which we will continue to carry on even if things open up. So definitely for virtual there is a scope to go forward. And I'll give you an example of one of our clients is Infosys. And in 2017 December, so they had a new CEO, Vishal Sikka, and I was in Infosys at that time. And one of the things they said, we want to do a huge show in San Francisco and invite 50,000 people, and so that we are expecting 4,000 guys to attend, right? Now, I was the one who was given the task of managing the event along with my colleagues. Um, question So at that time, basically, Infosys being a technology company was not using technology for their events. So it took us a lot of effort to internally sell technology within Infosys. And it's not just buying the technology and implementing it, because there's a larger problem of adapting to the technology. Like, for example, your contacts in marketing may go ahead and do the virtual event, but they will have internal challenge in how will people get on board? How will they log in? People are getting kicked out. So there's lots to be managed. So when I talk about long term, in 2 years, the Infosys business, they did start using it, but then in 2 years, the Infosys business grew from one event to 18 events. Now we were only doing events technology for those 18 events. We are not doing events as such. But then we saw that they saw the success and they carried it forward. Again, in this situation, if you come back to virtual events, also it is the same thing. Some of the larger clients are obviously waiting to get on board, but when they eventually do and they see the benefits, they may continue this. Like some of the areas which I can clearly see is trainings, right? Companies don't want to spend, may not like to spend money in trainings, at least for the next 2 years. They don't want to have sales meet, because that is something like we are doing a virtual event for Infosys. They are having 1,000 sales guys next month, right? So sales meet is something which, again, all the internal facing stuff can definitely be done virtually. So basically there is a lot of scope in virtual, if you think that you have the right the resources or the opportunity, then it is a long term game. It is not going to get over. um, and the way, let me just try to tell you, is this: today Infosys or any company, you're talking to SAP, many companies, they do have a lot of money. But then the thing is, today they may put 50% on virtual, but tomorrow they may, because things will open up, the investment in virtual will only be 10 to 15, 12%, like 10 to 12%. But that 10 to 12% is a huge number for a virtual events game to start. So I think that is my point on there. And what are your triggers of going virtual? Yeah, I think this is very important. I mean, there could be some triggers. Now, one trigger is you have a great client who wants to go virtual. They are sitting with a lot of money. Budget is not a problem. And then you have a great platform that you are comfortable with to take to your client, right? So basically, you have a platform, you have a client, and here is you in between. So it's a good fix, right? So that could be a trigger to go virtual because you have a project, you can put it together. There is another way of working at it. Like you could be a project manager in the sense that you have a technology company like BuzzNation. I'm not trying to sell BuzzNation, but you have a technology company, you know, a technology company like BuzzNation who have been in the space for 2 3 years, and then you know your client and you are the project manager. So essentially you are getting both of them married. It is more or less like the event management which all of us do, where we kind of bring together a lot of complex vendor ecosystem and connect it in a simple uh, in a single play and kind of give that to the client as a solution. So if you're like if your jigsaw puzzle is setting perfectly, maybe it is time to go virtual. But I think one of the challenges of going virtual is, like, I had a client who said that in 3 weeks they want to go virtual. I said, no, we can't do that. And they said, no, 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 we have the money and everything is done. In fact, videos is not a everything is in house, but I need this event on the 19th of May. And we said, no, we can't do it simply because we do not have enough time to build and test. And if we don't build and test, then we may end up doing a very shabby job at the event. And we being, I mean, we would not like to be in that position. I mean, even if you push us. So we did not have that trigger for this event. So we didn't do that. Um, and then the last question, of course, is would you like to be a project manager or a technology manager? I think this is something which all of us needs to think about, right? Obviously, you know, because of the situation, all of us are being forced online. I understand that. Even the attendees, right? Like some of the webinars nowadays have 3 times or 4 times the usual number they used to have pre-COVID. So basically, this is also called a window of opportunity, right? So the window of opportunity is no more till June, but it is till December, at least in this part of the world. So I mean, even if UK opened up this week, they are not going to open conventions for till December, right? And I was reading a report today morning about, okay, even if the conventions open, are people going to travel? Are people going to come? And and I'm just kind of rattling it out, but I think 50% of the guys who were interviewed, they said they may be comfortable to attend events only next year. I mean, if company forces them to travel, they will. But if you ask them what is their comfort factor, then so I think that's all I had from my side, and you know, and then again, you know, based on these things, we can kind of do the Q&A afterwards. But since Lavina kind of told told us that we will kind of show you a little bit about the virtual space as well, but I will kind of stop here for a moment and just see if anybody has any question related to this part, and then I kind of move on to the demo part.
Guys, any questions, you can just type it out in the
All
chat
right, so I
box.
don't see any questions. So probably what I'll do is, for the moment, I'll just jump into the virtual space just to give you a very. Okay, let me just check. I think we are getting some messages. All right. Okay. All right, guys. Sorry, I was just trying to just read this up. Okay, so let me just quickly jump on to what is keeping us busy from an event technology standpoint, right? So, well, there are several platforms and several technologies out there which you can look at when you are essentially kind of suggesting this to your customers. But let me tell you a couple of important things even before you think about these companies, right? Look, one of the most important thing is you have to understand that most of these companies are really small companies. You know, they are under 25 people companies, except for Inexpo, because obviously Inexpo got acquired by Intrado. So they have a slightly bigger play because Intrado is essentially a digital marketing company, which has gone in and purchased Inexpo. So I think they are the only bigger guys. But then everybody else, Six Connects, VFairs, Hyperfair, or anybody else, is they are actually they're small companies. Now, with they being small company and so much business out there, the biggest challenge which they are going to face is technology support, right? So they do have a platform, they can sell the license, but if they get 20 events in a month, they can't do it. They'll go bust, right? So they can't do it. And I think that is where the opportunity lies, right? Can you take these tools and can you build a team around this who can work this tool on their own instead of depending on the platform owners to support you? And obviously you can understand that when platforms will support you, they'll charge you 60 to $70 an hour, right? For Asia, that is a big number. And that kind of makes the price quite prohibitory, and it's very difficult to get it. But since the events are in India, the smartest thing to do would be to acquire the knowledge and do it locally by just taking the platform. So I think we'll again get back to questions about platforms later. So these are the four platforms which we are supporting right now. Obviously, we support any platform which the client selects. So we don't depend on any platform, but we are platform agnostic. We are a technology company who manage technology for their clients end to end. And I think we can manage any technology. But then these are the four best technologies, really, which not best, but these are the four which we are kind of working on. So I will kind of stop here and quickly I'll give you a 5-minute demo essentially about this one environment. And again, Lavina was saying that can you also talk about this virtual thing because some of the challenges which she's kind of sees here is, people also consider a Zoom meeting a virtual meeting. No, I think it is in a way a Zoom meeting is also a virtual meeting, but I think to properly define the space where we are, we have to say that we are creating great online experiences. Now, that does not matter that you are doing a LinkedIn Live or a Facebook Live, or you're doing a webinar, or you're doing something like this, which is more immersive, right? But end of the day, everything is voice, data, and text, right? And then basically you go from there. So I'll just jump into this. Let me just. I was kind of showing this. Okay. All right, guys. So essentially, we wanted to demo this environment today, just to give you, just an idea of, how a virtual environment kind of. I'm sure a lot of you would have seen it already, but then I'm just trying to show you a little bit. So basically, this is one of the best platforms which we are seeing a lot of traction, mainly from American customers, because they always like to go full on with everything. So broadly, this is where someone who comes into the environment, this is where he kind of lands, and this is more or less like a convention center. If you guys can see, they have options to essentially use different kind of landscapes. So one important thing about this platform is this is an avatar-based system, right? So essentially, if you see someone in the show, essentially they are attending the show, so they are not dummies, right? So I just saw someone here, maybe okay. So this guy is essentially here because he's actually here. If he logs out, he will not be visible. So this is an avatar-based system, and then if you click, here are some options of communicating. So I can send him a text if I want to do that, right? So here is an option to send the text. I can also call him within the environment. Let me show you something else. These are my friends who are kind of connected in the same environment. And let me also show you something else. So this is from a real-time environment, like if an attendee wants to call somebody, right? So the call actually happens on your right-hand side right away. You can see that. And essentially you can add people to the right while you are discussing with somebody. So, you do have this call facility as well. There is also something called like you basically send your own business card to this guy. So here are the three options of engaging with people. Now let me tell you, and there's a little bit of gamification as well. I mean, this is just to kind of keep things active. So which essentially you can change your clothes, just to kind of show yourself a little different from each other. So that is why this system is different in a way that everybody does not have the same, uh, social look and feel, I would say, or all that kind of stuff. So this is a little bit of gamification, which you can see. All you need to do is save it, and then let me just show you around. So as you can see, it's broadly like an experience, just like a convention center. You can kind of more or less brand everything you want, and then these are important. Let me show you these things. So these are essentially the teleporters. Now, if you can see, it's showing showroom, auditorium, concept car, everything. So maybe say, for example, if this is an event which is set up for say Toyota, right? The concept for to go to the concept car, I may have to walk around the whole building and reach the car. But then there is the easy way. These are mostly called teleporters, which we can keep anywhere in the environment. If I just click on concept car, it actually just takes me to that room directly, and I don't have to navigate. And when I'm in the room, again, it's a 3D immersive environment where I can just go around and see this car. There are also features I'll show you maybe later that, for example, if you're seeing this car, if you click on the wheels, right, something will show up here differently. If you click on the tires or, the dashboard, anything, all the specifications can come in. Then again, this entire space can be branded as per client's, requirement. We can have people here on live days to kind of speak to people. The other thing is, again, you don't have to do anything. You just click, go to reception, and you're back. So basically, the teleporters are really good to kind of transport people. And I'll now take you inside. So while we go in, essentially, you can see that there's a lot of scope. Obviously, branding, but also there's scope for videos. So if, for example, if anybody plays this video, this it just starts playing. It could be a welcome video. It could be a product video. It could be anything, right? So this is just a dummy, but it will basically just play right away. So this is mostly just a dummy. The other thing about good thing about this environment, which I like, is other than the desktop version, they also have a phone version which you can use your Google glasses and kind of see, in a different environment. So everybody can go download it. You don't need a desktop. You can have this whole immersive environment. You're wearing your headsets. Sorry. Um, so this is how the environment is set up. Let me show you this room, for example. So this is a smaller room. This we are calling it the demo room, but this can be used for smaller meetings as well if required. And there are two ways of doing this essentially. So one is essentially, when you just enter this room, you are right inside. On the left, you can ask questions to the moderator, and then the moderator can be live or pre-recorded. Both the options are available, right? So when they're live, uh, essentially what happens is, you can see them there. Now there could be a little bit more in this, that even the live can be multi-live. Like for example, 4 different speakers, a moderator coming in together into the screen. Yeah, that's all possible. So so broadly, this is one of the rooms. Let me just quickly show you a couple of important things. So one is the profile. So basically, any attendee who comes in more or less builds his own profile based on the kind of content they are comfortable sharing or whatever is made mandatory. So I think that is one. The other thing I want to just quickly show you is maps. So if there is a complex setup, if you have seen, many of the convention centers actually publish maps, which we see the maps and kind of go to our own setup or meetings. So we have the same options here. The maps are more or less everywhere, and let me, and that's how a user can navigate through this whole environment. Of course, they can walk around using the technology as well, but this is probably something which is faster, right? Let me show you within the map. Let me take you somewhere. This may be important if you guys are in the trade show kind of environment, then maybe something like this will be important. So this again, there are 34 booths which can be set up on a standard format, and I'll just quickly take you there. If you can see around, you know, these are the booths. These are not branded, of course, right now because these are just demos. But then even in the booth, again, you have the same options, right? So you have the videos, but I'll show you something different. I'll show you how a brochure works, right? So, for example, if you have brochure, just keep it there. Somebody clicks. He has three options: see it, download it to my laptop, or to the bag. So there is something called a bag within the environment where you can store all your collateral. So basically, for a marketer, if you can give them the intelligence that this brochure was downloaded by 40 executives, 30 times read, so that gives marketing a lot of direction as to who could be reached because they have seen our videos 40 times. There is something which he likes about the video. Can we have a quick chat with him? So even I'll just quickly show you around, but then this is more on the trade show side. Basically, you have bigger booths, and then you have the smaller ones. Every booth comes with an assistant, which is essentially a live person. Uh, and then again, things can be changed to some extent, not much at the moment, but things can be changed. Even clients can use only a part of this segment just to do a service showcase or a technology showcase, right? So there could be multiple things which can be done. I'm just trying to show you because everybody needs to be creative the way it works for them. All right, so I think I showed this. This is essentially the bag. So all the brochures we collect kind of comes here. All the products are here. All the contact cards people have shared. Everything will be available to me after the show. I don't have to do anything. Profile I showed you, dressing room. You can call people. You can search for people within the environment. Like I said, again, you have settings, help, etc. So broadly, I mean, again, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but then we can keep going on. But broadly, this is where we are, and I will just stop now and over to Lavina if you wanna put in any questions which we can answer, then I'll be happy.
Thanks, Ratnesh. There's actually lots of questions coming in
Questions.
on Facebook as well as on the chat here. So if you can just open the chat box, you'll have like tons of questions for you to answer.
Yeah, no problem. But if anybody also wants to come live and ask, I'm fine. All right. So let's see. We'll just pick up some which could be important. All right. So let's go one by one. Okay, so maybe the first thing is from Rita Sai. What are these platforms? So as I said, these are the four platforms we spoke about: Anexpo, Hyperfair, Six Connects. There are several more. You guys can look into that. They can be good. Then Ajay is writing, Ratnesh, any client do they have executed a virtual event? Yeah, actually, we are already working with a couple of our clients. The virtual events are next month. Given our kind of clients, we have lesser clients in India, but then two of them right now, both are technology companies. So one of them is doing a sales meet, as I said, and then three more customer events after that. And another client, they are going into a client's event for US, Europe, and Australia. So yes, and the clients are Tech Mahindra and Infosys as of now. From Survey, what should be the earning model? As in, how do you earn from a digital webinar kind of a thing? Okay. I think it's a great question. See, the way we try to work is, we don't try to make any money on the platform, right? Then because obviously the platform wants to give us a 10% commission as a sales thing, that's fine. But we don't try to mark up on the platforms. What we do is we tell the client, hey, by the way, the platform costs $1,000. You buy it, and we will work on it, which is doing all the videos, all the technology testing, all the technology integration, sync APIs, all the creatives if you want, content, project management. So we do all this, which the technology guys won't care about you, right? Because obviously there's so much rush. This is the pricing model which we have also been working with Infosys past 3 years. So they buy the platform, which is a C event platform, because they use for event attendance, registration, and apps. So they buy the platform. We have our team who sits in Infosys campus Bangalore, and they support the platform, which is the technology, everything, technology content. So we support. So I think and you charge them for the support. Don't try to charge them for the platform, because if you charge them for the platform, say you got a platform for $1,000, right? And you charge the client $1,500. I mean, that is 50% margin. If your client finds out tomorrow, may not be good for you. But rather be very transparent and say that, hey, by the way, the platform costs $1,000, but if you take it through me, then I get 10% commission. Helps me, and then I do this bunch of other things for you where I will charge you. And I think that is the model which we are following. Kunal, yes, one question want to know total number of people can attend it and how can you make more lively if it is virtual? Yeah, I think it's a great question. Some of the technologies we are working with, we had another event which already happened 3 weeks back from Dubai, and they had like 10,000. They invited 25,000 people, but they still had 10,000 people. So people coming to the platform is not so much of a big problem. I don't think platforms are priced as per people, but platforms are priced as per the features, right? So people is not really a problem. Will it be convenient for you to take projects in smaller towns? Okay. So I think this is important. Like, we are not trying to sell to you here. We are, the way we see it is that we are like the agencies in India, and we are trying to share our challenges and how we are, kind of maneuvering through all this. And if that helps anybody in India to manage their own agencies, so we are not going to sell anything to anybody. Right. So next is a digital launch without a live setup can end up being boring, and the clients are very skeptical. How to convince them? Yeah, absolutely. Nothing can replace a face-to-face event. I'm all for face-to-face, and I'm like almost dying not traveling. But then, I think the entire thing is a digital launch is probably the only option if he wants to launch in the next 6 months, right? So he probably has to live with that. Now, the second option is how to make it attractive. Now, that is very interesting. Although we can go on and on, but let me just kind of give you a few things. So first of all, the entire communication towards the launch has to be with virtual, digital, small videos about getting ready for the event. What are you going to show? So I think a lot of content has to be pushed before the launch to even create the hype for people to come for the launch. During the launch, like this is coming from some of our US clients. So, for example, during the launch, every 5 minutes you can have a roulette or a game coming on the screen as a pop-up, and you play that and you win some instant digital award, which could be an Amazon voucher for $5,000, or in India you have other platforms which you can gift away, give vouchers or Amex vouchers, anything, virtual gifts, really gifts which don't really need to be shipped. So we can go on with that, but there is huge scope of doing customization and engagement online. As I said, we have to get creative with it, and that is the only solution. Okay. Once the situation become normal, do you think clients will still prefer virtual events? So Kartika Bansali, okay, yeah, I mean, yes, as I said, clients now are going to virtual simply because they don't have a choice. But if some of them taste the success, then maybe they will always have 10% of their events virtual, or have a physical event where some components are still virtual, because using that they can actually, uh, you know, catch the other guys who did not come to the physical event. So I think there is a lot of scope. Um, what is your opinion about Map Your Show and GTR? Riaz, I'm so sorry. We have not been tracking these two, but would love to find out more and share with you offline if that is something which helps. Um, What are the modes of earning? I already shared. The modes of earning are basically, selling your services rather than trying to upsell the platform. So we have a question from Ajay, Lavina, and Ratnesh. You can have done a immersive. Yes, we could have done an immersive virtual event for this call as well, but I guess the thing is, obviously we didn't have time to set it up and it may cost. So at the moment we just hold it. Maybe very soon we can invite people. So we have another question from Riaz is. Virtual trade shows have been slow to take off when compared to other events, which makes sense considering their complexity and many planners are unfamiliar with it. How do we deal with this? Um, yeah, I mean, look, it is a tough call. Even clients in India, US, or Europe, it is like 80% are still collecting information, digesting, and rewiring for the next 6 months. They are also getting confused because, for example, India just opened up, US opened up this week to some extent. US, they are opening up left, right, and center. So that is also confusing the client. That should they really look at virtual or should they just hang in there for another couple of months and then they just go back? So what is happening is that is slowing down the decision making for all these events, including trade shows. But having said that, Riaz, we are sitting on at least five different inquiries from US about doing trade shows, and the kind of trade shows we got a 9-page brief from them, and that was a well done brief. But there are people who are looking into it. The way we see it is, we have done 45 demos in India, and I think similar in US, uh, and we are seeing very slow movement. But the only reasons we keep doing the demos is because we are ahead of the line in the sense that when they start turning, they'll see us. So that's the reason, even if it is quite frustrating. And the other thing is the current businesses which we have got is only with current clients. We have not got any business till now, which is from a prospect. So yeah, I mean, I think Riaz, the situation will change if the COVID doesn't change. So marketers will definitely change. Right, and then is yeah, the okay. So Riaz, your question is the user interface in some of the virtual trade shows are not up to the mark. This is a very important point. So because people were not looking into virtual really, right? So they were not updated. And I can tell you one example of this company called Inexpo, which I showed. They are owned by Intrado. So I had a chat with Inexpo in 2009, right? And even in 2009, if you see, no one would have even bothered about a virtual event. But if you remember, in 2008, we had the recession because the global recession basically, right? I was in NDTV, I was working there as a marketing manager. And so we used to do an event called, I'm forgetting now, New Media Congress, right? So we did two events. It was called the New Media Congress. And then suddenly with this COVID, not COVID, but that was depression. Uh, and we really started scrambling and trying to find out, just like today, right? That what could be the other platforms to do. And I spoke with an expo in 2009, and they're still around. They're still supposedly the best, but they are not that great. So you are right. I mean, most of the technology is quite outdated. But then that is where people have to get creative, that use some outdated technology and enhance it, make it more contemporary, kind of do some API integrations and make it more lively. We'll bring in polls engagement. So I think, yeah, I agree. Yes, a lot of work needs to be done, but still they are selling. I mean, at the moment, that's the truth. All right. So Vinita has a question. Does this guy choose to be in this part of the virtual event? Yeah, you can choose to be in any part of the virtual event, and I mean, the demo which I gave basically, and every journey is different. Ajay has a question. Has anyone executed this? I did try to sell them, but only 12. Yes, Ajay. So there are people who have executed this. Now, see, the problem is this. Uh, um, your clients will ask for examples, right? Now, examples can only come in PDF documents because your client or you cannot be given access to somebody else's event, right? That's breach of privacy, anyways. Similarly, if you do an event and I call you and tell you that, hey, I've got this bunch of guys who want to just come and see what's going on, it is difficult. So, yes, you're right. There's a lot of demos are happening, but then again, it is a tough call, really, Ajay. So there are people who have executed, but I don't understand how we can even show the clients. And sometimes the clients are also unreasonable. I mean, my client when the COVID hit, and this was one client who's given us almost $1 million business, and they came and they were asking us that, hey, by the way, uh, let me okay. By the way, I know that you guys are in the event technology space and you've been helping us 3 years, but have you done any virtual events? And that really annoyed me because I said, hey, listen, if I would have done virtual events, that would have been with you, not with somebody else, because you are my client, right? But I have done event technology for you, so you can see that there's not much difference in this. And obviously that's when the conversations progress. But eventually we did not show anything because we did not have. Now we will have next month, which we will show. So tough call, Ajay. We'll have to work this very differently. Um, Yes, will innovation and redesign permeate the much needed vertical or the virtual? Yeah, I mean innovation and redesign in the sense that I mean some of again related to your earlier question, yes, we had one client in US telling us why do we want to go behind this platform? Let's build one ourselves. We can just fund it. So there are a lot of guys who are getting frustrated with the technology, and there could be a possibility that somebody really gets in and builds a great product in 3 months. But right now, that's not on the table. Um, Next question: how can we use this as in what requirement of the client can we? Okay. Um, so as I said, some of our clients are looking at doing customer events, customers and prospects. That is one. Some of the guys we are talking to essentially are so one are customer events. Some of them are the trade show guys. I was telling you 4 5 guys from the trade show industry. I'm also talking to one technology client who wants to see this space as their online experience center. So they are in 30 countries globally, and they are an Indian company. And what they want to do is they have this bunch of services, but usually people would fly in from 30 countries into India and see the technology in work. But now they want to put the technology online, and they just invite these guys. So they call it client visits, but we are working and trying to see if we can do client visits also online. So yeah, that could be another thing. Um, for the demo, do we go through an external link? Yeah, I mean, demo depends on which platform. The demo which I showed you, I can send you a link and you can go ahead and see it. Um, Rahul, this is too fancy. Yes, this may sound too over-engineered for certain kind of events, but then I just wanted to show one. This is something which we really like. Is this created by Buzz Nation? No, we don't have any platforms. As I said, we are like you. We are adding value to the platforms. This is the future, just waiting for clients. Okay. How can engage? Again, Devjyoti, how can we engage audience in a booth or in activity? As I said, there are multiple ways. We can have an offline on that. Um, Many of the tech companies are only showing demos on exhibitions. Is there any demo on something corporate event? Okay. Yeah, yeah. Most of them have corporate event demos they can share. What do you mean by corporate event is like a big session? I just showed you a hall which can hold up to 2,000 people. So and then I mean there are a bunch of questions. So Lavina, can we take some of the questions later? And then if you want, like I can still take questions on live.
There's a huge bunch of questions. Not only here,
Yeah.
there's so many questions coming in on the Facebook live as well. You can, respond to that later. So I think it'll be great if you can pick out some of these and, that have not been answered,
Yeah.
and yeah, just
Let's
pick
do
out
that.
the ones
Okay.
that, uh, you know, uh,
What the world given for engagement? Look, guys, about this vibe, wow effect and engagement, and you have to kind of think through this. I mean, there are no ready answers. Like, for example, I kind of shared some of the things already, but we had a call with another company in US. They are not a company, so they are the war veterans. Basically, these are the ex-army guys. They have 126 chapters all over US, and every year during the summer around this time, they do a local award function, right? And they do it in 126 different chapters in the US. Now, and he himself got creative, and the way they are thinking is, so there is another software which can do online awards. So we have suggested that to them. And so basically, what they are doing is all the visuals will go on the software, but on the day of the event, they are actually delivering food to every member essentially through Uber. So, I mean, there could be several more kind of interventions which may be required, and that kinds of gives you the ability to customize it as per your local country or your client as well. So, I mean, we can have another session on this, but yeah, I mean, these are great questions. But
I think there's one nice question which I think everyone needs to know is from Priyanka, which is, please tell us about backend lead time. Few clients expect overnight magic. I'm sure the same approach does not work for virtual events. So, what is the typical lead time for actually creating an event like this?
I think that is a great question. So pricing and lead time, these are the two things which are really important. So lead time right now is 6 weeks plus, and it was 4 weeks. Now it is 6 weeks plus. For some platforms, it is even 12 weeks. So that is the kind of lead time you have. And honestly, I think these are not huge lead times. These are quite normal because the client may think that, oh my God, it's 2 months. No, if I go back to the client and give him a bunch of requirements, he will take 2 months to come back to us. I know that. So it is not that 2 months is a big time because it does take a lot of effort in, and it is back and forth, right? You're also testing, throwing back, bringing new stuff. So lead time starting 6 to 12 weeks for good platforms. Again, pricing, no, I just don't want to get into pricing, but what I want to say is, look, just because we are buying a product from India does not mean that we will get it cheaper, right? So if you buy a Microsoft license globally, it is almost the same cost except for taxes. So similarly, it may sound that it is quite expensive, but honestly, as of now, I don't see any price reduction just because we approach them from another country. So I think that pricing will not change. It will be quite expensive. And to be very honest, I'll just give you a ballpark idea. To do a decent sized 2,000 people event will cost us in the range of $30,000 only cost, and then your expenses. So again, this could be 15,000. I don't know, but the kind of projects we are doing, every project is benchmarked at around $30,000, and then we charge on top of that. Uh, Right, Lavina, I'm going through these questions as well, but if there's anything you can ask me.
There's another key point that is by Vedant Jain, is how can we, or what are the ways to incorporate artist performances in this platform?
Oh, there are a lot of ways. If you just follow what's going on in US and Europe, a lot of artists are actually going online, and they kind of matured from there a little bit more. So what needs to be done is through an API, say for example, out of the 4 platforms I selected, you can say choose any of the platforms, right? And then through an API integration, we can bring in the feed and plug it in the system. So yeah, it is possible. It is quite a simple fix actually. I don't see it's a big issue.
Super. Yeah, I think a lot of the other questions are quite the similar ones, which is what are the engagements and how can we give it personal touches. A lot of people are asking this because I assume a lot of clients are asking them how they're really going to keep it, keep it engaging for them. I, I think that, a lot of such platforms that I've seen as well, there's a whole lot of games or there's a lot of interactivity that can be created in within the platform, if I'm correct, Ness. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, there are a lot of. So I'm actually. So just to answer your question, so you're right. I mean, there are a lot of functionalities which can be done through API integrations. But the thing is, for everything we will need time, and I know that when you talk to your client, essentially they want everything tomorrow morning. So that right expectation needs to be set. It is because it is not normal time of doing business, right? I mean, if you look at the virtual space, as I said, there's almost a queue of people trying to talk to them, get a demo, trying to price them out. That they are in a rush. So I think um, bottom line is this, that there's lots which can be done in the concert launch conference segment, but you have to buy time from your, like we are working with on, like this is for Uber US, right? So their event is in September, but we told them to take a decision by next month, right? So because they need time to do it. So I think everything is possible. Just see everything you see online, and you think that that should be integrated. It can be integrated. I don't see a challenge in integrations. But yeah, if your client tells you to do it in a week's time, may not happen. Couple of months, yes. So that's on that.
Okay, I think let's just take the last question, which is USD 30,000 is for creating the platform or for the event only.
Yeah. So USD 30. So let me give you some ballpark numbers. Hyperfair starts at 18,000 euros, which is $25,000, and all they give you is basically a shell, right? So basically, you get one main hall, you get some booth, you get to break out some areas outside, right? Their starting price is $25,000. That does not include additional technology cost or testing cost or any kind of API integration. If that happens, it goes up further. And this is basically you are buying a license. So for example, if your client is Airtel, right? So you are buying a license for Airtel. It costs $30,000 and some technical cost, and then you have to add your cost of design, implementation, project management. So that kind of takes it to whatever number. Um, and then this license is valid for 1 year. So for example, the client does a live event today, right? He can do another live event in 3 months time, because I think that's reasonable time to turn around the platform. But when he does the next event, he may not have to buy the platform, but everything else will be the same, which is the technical fee, your fee, testing fee, platform, mainly just the servicing fee. So that time you may not need to buy the platform, but because you have a 1 year license, you can do up to 3-4 events in there. There are some other platforms like VFairs, right? Now VFairs is only for one event. So essentially they charge you $10,000, but it is only for 3 months time, which is essentially the time it takes to build it. After the event, in 7 days or 10 days, it will be have to brought down. So there are several models in which they are working, but I'm just trying to say that $30,000-$40,000 is what is kind of costing to do 3,000 people event. Again, numbers don't matter, but then the setup essentially is one large hall which can take up to 2,000 people, 2-3 smaller halls, a demo area, some booth, and the reception, and then work all this technology. So it's like 30,000-40,000. So
Cool. And there's one question that's on Facebook that's come in, which I think you could answer, is by Vijay Shenoy on Facebook, which is, can the exhibitors incorporate a chatbot for real-time chat with a virtual visitor?
but yeah, it is already incorporated. So the ones which I was showing you, even if, for example, obviously when the show is going on, those hostesses will be there. Let me just since it is already open, I can just show that to you. Just give me a moment. I'm just trying to get that. Okay. So, I mean, if you see right now, there are more people. They are here simply because everybody is doing a demo, right? So they're not dummies. So that's it.
So there are that many people doing demos right now and showing off this
Yeah,
particular
absolutely.
platform.
So this guy, they're all doing demos. Everybody actually. Sorry, Lavina, your question was on the booth, right? Okay, let me
Yeah,
just
yeah.
show you.
Can exhibitors incorporate a chatbot for real-time chat with a virtual visitor?
Yes, so at the moment, if you see, this is how it is. At the moment, we have a hostess. Once you click, you can have conversation with this person, and then chatbot integration into this can be done. So what will happen is, so essentially, what can happen is there won't be any person behind this as a hostess. There will be a chatbot with some fed questions and standard answers, and the chatbots can then kind of respond to people, and if they just like the website chatbots, but then nowadays there are some smarter ones also which we can look at. So yeah, but that is possible, Lavina. The chat is anyways quite an important element of this.
Great. I think this was really, really insightful, Ratnesh. Thank you so much for your time. I think if you can just put in your, contact point or something on the chat box so that people know who to get in touch with, maybe one of your team members or your email ID or something like that, so that any more queries or any actual uh, inquiries, they can possibly reach out to you.
Yeah,
From wherever you want.
yeah, sure. That's not a problem. But I'm just sending you an email, just sharing. That's my mail ID, and I'm just gonna share.
So Vikas, Ness is just putting in his email ID. The query that you have for that specific event that you want to pitch for, I think you can reach out to him on his email ID here, which is sales@buzznationmarketing.com. Buzznationmarketing.com. Just get in touch with them and they should be able to respond to you on that. Great. Thank
I
you so
mean,
much, Nes. Was so good. It was really, really good. I think a lot of us got a lot of insight and we got a little more clarity on what really can be done with a virtual event. So something that all of us can possibly, use and, go ahead in a much more informed manner and go to our clients with something that's a little more concrete, something that we've seen ourselves. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of the people here will reach out to you directly as well, uh, and look forward
also,
to more
thank
things.
you, Lavina. Thank you for setting this up, and I think it's a great opportunity for us to share our the way we are managing this situation. If that helps anybody kind of define their own direction, that is our objective to be on this call. As I said, so we were in talk with event planners even before COVID hit, and because we were doing a lot of stuff ourselves outside, and we wanted to share all the event technology stuff with her so that she can kind of put it there. But then COVID obviously is another situation. But happy to be here, Lavina. Anytime you want us to do another session which is focused on any other topic, then we are happy. Please
Definitely.
follow our content. We'll be posting on Eventpreneur as well. So
Yes.
just follow us there, and very nice meeting you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nes. Good to be here, and we'll see you soon.
Sure. Thank you, everybody, and have a great week and stay safe and healthy. Thank you. Cheers. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye.